Midnight to 1 o'clock. The story begins with two complete strangers, Alex and Toll, each desperate to reach New York for very different reasons. Alex is a beautiful young woman whose wedding is only 1 day away, while Toll is a doctor rushing back because one of his patients is waiting for surgery. When they discover that the last commercial flight has already departed, they realize they have no choice but to find another way. Alex overhears Toll discussing the problem and approaches him with an unexpected proposal. Why not split the cost of a private plane? Soon they meet an elderly pilot and board his small aircraft along with his loyal dog. For a while, everything seems peaceful, until the pilot suddenly becomes seriously ill in the middle of the flight. Toll rushes forward to help him, but before he can do anything, the aircraft loses control and crashes violently into a towering, snowy mountain. When the wreckage finally comes to a stop, the pilot is dead, while Toll, Alex, and the dog somehow survive. Their bodies are injured, their supplies are limited, and the freezing wilderness stretches endlessly in every direction. Toll climbs out of the wreckage and desperately calls for help, but there is no answer. There are only enormous mountains covered in snow, with no roads, buildings, or signs of human life anywhere nearby. After burying the dead pilot, Toll finds Alex unconscious and treats her injuries as best as he can. They light a fire inside the wreckage and try to survive the brutal cold. The following day, Toll spots an airplane high in the sky and fires a flare, hoping someone will notice them. But the aircraft is flying far too high and disappears without seeing them. Alex is devastated because her wedding is supposed to happen the next day, yet no one even knows they took the private flight. Toll finally admits the truth. They may be completely cut off from the world. Their phones offer no hope. Alex's phone is broken, while Toll's has no network signal at all. With only a few days of food left, Alex refuses to sit around waiting for a rescue that may never come. She insists that they must search for a way out, but Toll warns her that the temperature outside could kill them. For several days they remain near the wreckage, hoping someone will eventually find them. But 4 or 5 days pass, and nobody comes. Their food supply continues to disappear, and Alex realizes that waiting is becoming another form of death. Finally, Toll agrees to search, but because Alex is still badly injured, he orders her to stay behind while he goes alone. Toll walks across the endless snow, searching for any sign of civilization, but the landscape offers nothing except mountains and frozen valleys. Exhausted and discouraged, he turns back, only to lose his footing and tumble toward a deep ravine. Toll's fall could have ended everything, but a cluster of rocks catches him just before he plunges into the abyss. Meanwhile, back at the wreckage, Alex listens to recordings from Toll's phone when a dangerous wild animal suddenly approaches. The pilot's dog begins barking aggressively and runs toward the creature, but the animal attacks and injures the dog. It then turns toward Alex, leaving her trapped and terrified. With nowhere to run, Alex grabs the flare gun and fires directly above the creature's head. The sudden explosion scares the animal away. Shortly afterward, Toll returns, and Alex tells him what happened. She believes the animal could not have gone far and may already be dead from the shot. Toll follows its trail and discovers the creature lying nearby. He brings the carcass back to their shelter, and for the first time in many days, they have a real meal. They cook the meat and save whatever remains, knowing that every piece of food could mean another day of survival. After eating, Alex begins thinking about their only possible escape route. She suggests climbing down from the mountain because perhaps they could find a signal or a road somewhere below. Toll refuses, convinced that the region is far too isolated and that leaving the shelter could expose them to deadly cold. But Alex refuses to accept that simply waiting is a solution. She reminds him that their food may last only 15 or 20 more days, and after that, even the shelter will not save them. Their argument grows heated as each struggles with a different kind of fear. Toll fears the mountains will kill them, while Alex fears that doing nothing will guarantee their death. Eventually, they go to sleep still divided. The next morning, Alex quietly takes the dog and begins walking away from the wreckage. She leaves Toll a letter explaining that she is going to search for help and promises that if she finds a way out, she will return for him. When Toll wakes and discovers her gone, he follows her footprints into the frozen wilderness. Toll follows Alex's tracks across the snow, moving faster as he realizes how far she has gone. After traveling a considerable distance, he finally sees her ahead. The two are relieved to find each other, but Alex is exhausted and trembling from the cold. Toll urges her to return to the aircraft wreckage, yet Alex refuses. They have already come too far, and she believes turning back would mean giving up completely. With only a fragile hope keeping them moving, they continue deeper into the mountains. Eventually, they discover a cave that offers protection from the freezing wind. They quickly build a fire and collapse from exhaustion. The following morning, they continue their search, constantly scanning the landscape through binoculars for anything that might reveal civilization. Then, far in the distance, something catches the light. It is barely visible, but after everything they have endured, even that tiny glimmer feels like a possible lifeline. They begin walking toward it, desperate to discover what lies beyond the frozen terrain. After hours of walking, Alex and Toll finally reach the place where the distant reflection came from, only to discover that it is surrounded by a dangerous drop in melting snow. A thin layer of ice separates them from a deep ravine below. Toll immediately realizes that one wrong step could send either of them plunging to their death, so he insists they return to the cave. Alex becomes furious. She cannot understand how they are supposed to survive by simply hiding and waiting for death. Then they realize the dog is missing. Toll follows its paw prints, hoping to find their companion, and instead discovers something far more important, a small, abandoned house. There's no one inside, but at least they have found a solid shelter. Toll rushes back toward Alex, unaware that she is standing over a dangerously thin layer of ice. Suddenly, the frozen surface breaks beneath her feet, and Alex disappears downward. Toll races toward her, pulls her from the freezing hole, and carries her into the abandoned house before the cold can claim her. Alex is barely conscious after the fall, and her body has become dangerously cold. Toll's medical training becomes their greatest advantage. He gives her an injection and carefully works to restore her body temperature until she finally regains consciousness. Inside the abandoned house, Toll prepares food from whatever supplies they can find, giving Alex another reason to believe that perhaps they can survive this nightmare. As she watches him care for her, Alex begins seeing Toll differently. She realizes that despite being trapped together for so long, he has never tried to take advantage of her vulnerability. He has protected her, treated her injuries, shared food with her, and repeatedly risked his own life to keep her alive. Over the next 4 or 5 days, the two remain inside the house, slowly recovering. Their constant struggle for survival begins turning into something deeper. Then one day, while Toll is outside gathering wood, Alex once again listens to recordings on his phone. This time, however, she discovers something painful about the life he left behind. Toll returns and becomes angry when he realizes Alex has been listening to recordings involving his wife. Alex explains that she only wanted to understand him, but Toll reveals the truth. His wife died from an illness 2 years earlier. The revelation leaves Alex deeply hurt for him. She apologizes and embraces him, and for a moment, the loneliness surrounding them disappears. The emotional bond they have built through fear, pain, and survival slowly transforms into love. That night, they finally allow themselves to stop thinking about the frozen wilderness and simply be together. But morning brings reality back. They leave the house and continue their journey, hoping that somewhere beyond the mountains there is a road, a town, or someone who can save them. The cold becomes increasingly brutal, and Alex eventually becomes too weak to walk. Toll refuses to leave her behind. He builds a simple wooden sled and places her on it, pulling her forward through the snow while the dog follows beside them. Their journey becomes a battle against exhaustion itself. After traveling for a long distance, Toll and Alex stop beneath a tree, but their food has finally run out. They sit there in silence, realizing that they may have reached the end of everything. They have searched, walked, fought the cold and risked their lives, yet civilization still seems impossibly far away. Hunger and exhaustion drain the last of their strength, and eventually both fall asleep. The dog later approaches Toll, trying to wake him, but the freezing temperature has already begun taking control of their bodies. Toll struggles to move and nearly rolls down the slope, but somehow catches himself. Then the dog leads him farther away. From that position, Toll suddenly notices something in the distance that changes everything. What appears to be an industrial building or factory. For the first time in many days, there is a real sign that people may be nearby. Toll rushes back to Alex, wakes her, and tells her they have found something. Their faces fill with a new hope, and together they begin moving toward the distant structure. Their renewed hope lasts only moments before another disaster strikes. As they move forward, Toll's foot suddenly becomes trapped inside a hidden snare. The pain is immediate and severe, and no matter how hard Alex tries, she cannot free him. Toll knows they cannot both remain there, so he tells Alex to leave him and find help. It is an impossible choice for her, but she forces herself forward. Weak from hunger and exhaustion, Alex struggles through the snow until she finally reaches a road. Then, like a miracle appearing through the frozen emptiness, a massive truck approaches. Alex steps directly into its path, desperate to make the driver stop. But her body has almost nothing left. Just as the truck comes toward her, she collapses unconscious in the road. The driver manages to stop and discovers her lying in the snow. The story then cuts to a hospital, where Alex and Toll have finally been rescued. For the first time since the crash, they are surrounded by warmth, safety, and other human beings. In the hospital, Toll visits Alex, and the two share a brief moment of happiness after everything they have survived together. But that happiness is interrupted when Alex's fiancé arrives. Alex tells him that without Toll, she would never have survived the mountains. Her fiancé thanks Toll for saving her life, but Toll understands what this moment truly means. Their journey together has reached its end. Alex belongs to another life, and Toll has his own life waiting for him. Even though their hearts have become deeply connected, neither knows how to overcome the reality standing between them. Toll leaves the hospital carrying the weight of everything they experienced together. Days pass, and he returns to his work as a doctor, trying to bury his feelings beneath his responsibilities. Alex, however, cannot forget him. Eventually, she calls Toll, but he refuses to answer because he believes continuing contact will only damage her relationship and prevent both of them from moving forward. Then Alex sends him several pictures, and seeing them brings all those memories rushing back. Unable to resist any longer, Toll finally calls her. Toll and Alex agree to meet at a restaurant, where the emotions they have been hiding finally come to the surface. Alex asks why he ignored her calls. Toll admits that he was trying to forget her because he did not want to interfere with her life. He reminds her that he is married, even though his wife is no longer alive, and assumes Alex has already married her fiancé. But Alex reveals that she ended that relationship. She tells Toll that she loves him because he is the only person who truly understands her, and because she has never met a man as kind and honorable as him. Toll is deeply moved, but he still refuses to give in. He tells her that his wife may be gone, but his love for her remains. Yet beneath those words lies a painful truth. Toll loves Alex too. Neither wants to betray the person they once loved, but neither can deny what happened between them in the mountains. They leave the restaurant together, knowing that walking away may be the hardest thing they have ever done. As they walk in opposite directions, both Toll and Alex struggle to hide their tears. They know that the life they shared in the mountains changed them forever, and neither can simply erase those memories. For a moment, they continue walking away from each other, trying to accept that their paths must separate. But then something inside them breaks through the silence. They turn around and begin walking back. Their eyes meet, and without needing another explanation, they embrace once again.